Alright, so you join me today on the Triumph Street Twin, the 2021 version. So anyone who's been watching the channel a while will know that I do have my own Gen 1 Street Twin. But I don't think I've ever done a video since they updated it in 2019 for the Gen 2. And then this is the next update for this model year. And it's mainly visual, but it still carries the tweaks from the last version, so perhaps a good opportunity to talk about those and show you around Bristol. You've got the suspension bridge over there, and we're just coming down here into Clifton, and we'll pick our way back to Fowler's where I picked the bike up from. I just stopped off there to take a couple of photos, some thumbnails, and this morning I did a comparison video of the Street Twin and the new T100, which has really been bumped up in spec to a similar level to this. And I think it looks really good as well. So keep your eyes peeled for that video. But like I say, my Street Twin was the 55 horsepower version. And there are a few common complaints on that bike. So one being the top end power, one being the brakes. And they added 10 horsepower up to 65 PS. Just giving it a bit more top end, and also they gave it a 4-pot Brembo single caliper at the front instead of the 2-pot Nissin. Now, personally, I'm not that bothered about the top end power. This bike is all about mid-range torque for me, 80 Newton meters, produced quite low in the revs. I think it was 3,250 on the previous gen and a bit higher on this one. Something like that, but the long and short of it is that when you're riding in traffic, you want a nice, low, agile bike, something that looks good, and then also plenty of drive away from the line. And top-end revs, you know, I rode the CB650R around London. It was just gutless at low revs. Not totally, but you know, that's not where the fun is on that bike. And then picks up when you're really hammering it and getting up to 8,000 or 9,000. That's why I bought the Street Twin, was just that proper low-end meatiness. And it was a great bike for commuting. I absolutely loved it. Now that we've moved, I actually have no idea where I'm going, by the way. I just think it looks interesting down here. But yeah, now we've moved to the Bristol area, I'm mainly using my own bikes to go and pick up press bikes. And it's usually a couple of hours on the motorway up to the Midlands. And so yeah, the Street Twin is pretty poor in that respect. 5 gears, so it really does feel like when you're cruising at 70 it could do with a 6th. And if you want to overtake at 55 horsepower and like 220 odd kilos, you've got to make sure you've got enough space basically to make a decent pass. And you know, fair enough, 10 horsepower is like 20% on that bike, so it is a substantial increase, but for what I bought the bike for, it was perfectly fine in that respect. It was the brakes, I think, that really made it feel a bit sketchy for me. If someone pulled out or slammed on in front of you, there just wasn't quite enough there for my taste. And it could be a bit alarming, but riding this today, and I've ridden the Street Scrambler previously as well, which got the same updates, you know, it's definitely fixed the problem that 4-pot Brembo. Braking is adequate and suited to the weight and speed of the bike. It doesn't really need any more. It's not a sports bike, it's a retro after all. But yeah, it just feels appropriately matched to its capabilities now. It also got upgraded fork internals with a cartridge. I can't say that it's night and day, but I'm sure they do feel slightly better. And then the other change was a mode button for a road and rain riding mode. So softer throttle and keener traction control in the rain mode. But I'm not sure it's massively needed on a 55 or 65 horsepower bike. There is plenty of torque down at the bottom though, so if it is wet and you pull away from some traffic lights and you're making a turn straight away, if you're winding it on in first gear, there is a chance that you might slip the back end out a little bit. It has happened to me and the TC has stepped in, but as for whether you truly need those two modes, I suppose they do intend it somewhat for new riders, so yeah, maybe that's a good tweak. But again, I'm not too bothered, and I think it's the brakes. Those are the big meaningful update for me. It's been nice riding around Bristol a bit today, and just seeing a few familiar places that I haven't yet visited since we moved to this area. I had my stag do somewhere around here, and it was a bit, well, it had its highs and lows, but yeah, there were some absolutely lovely spots around here. I think this is called Queen Square. Plenty of good places for taking pictures of bikes. I'm sure I'll be back around here at some point, although these cobbles are not particularly comfortable. As for this 2021 update, I mean, it's basically the same as the Gen 2. It does get Euro 5 compliance, of course, like all of the new bikes on the market. And it gets a low inertia update to the engine, so they've reduced some mass, so it should spin up a little quicker. Weak bridge. Well, it's about 220 kilos, so hopefully no problems there. But yeah, it's not like a huge deal, the low inertia thing. And then all the bodywork's been tweaked to make it look slightly more modern. This is like called Wapping Wharf, this kind of area. There's a museum down here. I thought I'd just swing around here to show you guys. It's quite picturesque and very close to Fowler's. You've still got the train lines here. It's a bit confusing in terms of pedestrians versus cars versus trains, I guess. Because yeah, look, this bit you sort of go onto the tracks for a bit, and I think this hatching is saying like, don't stop here. But yeah, there's a little sandwich place here, Brunel's Buttery, and then there is a motorcycle parking bay here, but every time I stop, there's always someone in it. It's always the way there, isn't it? And then you've got nice views over the boats and stuff here, and then up to those colourful painted houses on the hill. It's really a great little place for a walk at the weekend with the farm and that kind of thing. Hopefully you're getting plenty of that sweet exhaust note on this bike. It still sounds just as good as the first gen. One of the best sounding stock exhausts, I reckon. Mine's got the Vance & Hines US spec with the removable baffles, but honestly, especially if you don't like super loud bikes, if you're doing a lot of motorway work where that constant drone can get annoying over time, then I see absolutely no reason to switch it up. I think it sounds great, and they look good as well, slightly upswept. The other thing that strikes me after not having ridden mine around town that much recently is just how easy it is to manage and how well it handles at like walking speed. It's so stable, and like I say, the weight is slung nice and low, so at, you know, those very slow speeds between traffic and stuff, it just feels brilliant to me. There's a bit more of that sound. Anyway, the fuel light's on, so I better go and stick a bit in before I take it back. And yeah, I hope everybody's well and enjoyed this little city spin for a change. The weather's super changeable at the moment. I set off this morning in like many layers, and now I'm a bit on the warm side, to be honest, after spending the morning filming. It's just like either direct sun or raining and hail and stuff. But hopefully everyone manages to get out on their bikes, and I'll catch you in the next one.